Wow, it's honestly pretty insane for me that I'm even making this video in the first place. I would have never expected to hit 50 extreme demons several years ago. But fast forward now to 2026 and I have officially beaten a new hardest and have hit 50 extreme demons in total. Which is why in today's video I'm actually going to be ranking all of my extreme demons from worst to best. So you yourself are probably wondering how I'm going to be ranking this video. Well, this video is going to be ranked solely based off of my personal opinion on the level. This will be based off of things like personal experience, gameplay, just my overall thoughts about the level, and just stuff like that. So this is entirely based off of what I think about the level. So if you disagree with my opinion, that's totally fine. Just drop it down in the comments below. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? And why? And so on and so forth. Now, before we get on to the actual ranking, another thing that I want to disclose is as follows. The following 7 levels that you are currently seeing on screen are levels that I beat in an era of Geometry Dash where I actually did not record my completions. So I do not have any footage or records of these levels being completed, unfortunately. So I wanted to give a huge shout out and huge thank you to Magmeta for letting me use their footage on them completing the level as background footage that I'm using in this current video. So again, go show Magmeta some love and support, and huge thank you to them for allowing me to use their footage for today's video. And another thing as well is, this is my first time actually editing a full video, so I apologize if my language is a bit choppy, if I'm having a lot of filler words, or if my editing just is not good. It's my first time ever making a video like this, so just don't judge me too harshly. So anyways, enough of my yapping, let's get straight into the ranking. Oh man, what an absolute disaster this level is. Any sane person that has played or beaten Base Cave knows exactly why this level is ranking on the very bottom of my list. This level has awful choke points, very stupid balancing, and really dumb transitions absolutely scattered throughout this entire level. But the biggest sin and crime that this level commits are the fixed hitboxes that are completely invisible and present throughout almost the entire level. And now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Roman, aren't hitboxes already invisible? Don't you need to have show hitboxes on to see them? And you would be right, except even with show hitboxes on, you still cannot even see the fixed hitboxes. You can only see the regular hitboxes. And these invisible fixed hitboxes are present throughout the entire level. They're present in the first ship, the middle wave section, and they're even present in the very last click. The black orb timing, that hitbox on that spike is completely extended. Not to mention how there is an invisible barrier on the ground at 92%, where if you click even in slightly the wrongest way, that invisible barrier at the ground will just completely kill you, and you can't even see it with fixed hitboxes or show hitboxes on. So safe to say that this is just one of the absolute worst levels ever made, and honestly, Bloodshot should just never make a level again and just quit Geometry Dash forever. Fuck this level. Now, this is an opinion that I know is going to piss a lot of people off, but I have never liked Prismatic Haze, and the moment I started playing it, it was just a horrible experience. There is so much wrong with this level, but the biggest offenders are the awful balancing, the huge difficulty spikes, the bad transitions, and a really stupid RNG UFO and robot click at 38%. I just thought this level was not play tested well, and the balancing is just really bad. Most notably, 22 to 52 being very difficult, as well as the last 10%. Especially that 38 click that I already mentioned. This click was so bad because I always felt like I would click in the same pattern and I would just have to get lucky. Like sometimes I would die, sometimes I would pass it because that bottom saw blade is just placed so awkwardly. So my entire experience with this level was just pray that I pass this click and just pray that I get far, which made it just absolutely miserable. Not to mention how inconsistent this level feels. I've just always been a hater of flow gameplay, and this is genuinely one of the worst levels I've ever played, which is really unfortunate considering I know how much people enjoy it. But yeah, Prismatic Haze was just not good. Up next, we have Super Mayo Hate Club. This is another really bad level for a lot of reasons, but to those of you who don't know about this level, this is a 1.9 GDPS level created by Napple, and I'm gonna be honest, man, this was not good. It's a very short level, but this level has horrible balancing with really stupid choke points and transitions scattered throughout, and you're gonna hear me saying that a lot. through these bottom levels, which I just don't think are very good. But the most notably difficult sections are the first wave, the middle wave, and then the ship right before the end duel. I'm very glad I only had one death to the 80% duel, because I genuinely would have lost my mind if I didn't. But this level also feels like it just will never get consistent. Every part just feels like it's a different level of difficulty, and it just made playing this an absolute horrid experience. I really don't recommend this level unless you want to torture yourself. Speaking of unbalanced levels, up next is B times 20. This is another level that I beat many years ago, so I don't exactly fully remember, you know, like my true genuine experience, especially because I've evolved over the years in terms of my skill sets. But what I do remember from this level is it is horribly unbalanced and has the dumbest gameplay mechanics ever. First off, I remember the wave at the beginning being very difficult for no reason. And there's also this really dumb double green orb click at like 80-ish% that for some reason I just struggled with. I don't know if other people found that to be a problem, but I certainly did back in the day. But the biggest crime that this level commits is putting a blue gravity pad in the middle of a UFO spam at 90% in the level. Like, genuinely, what the hell was Roy Mousty thinking with this? It is just such a stupid mechanic, and it honestly just makes this a complete joke of a level. Now, this is arguably one of the most boring levels on this entire list. There is absolutely nothing interesting going on with Biohazard, and the fact that it is so long too just makes it that much more boring, considering that it looks the exact same the entire way through. This level's gameplay is also really boring, with the pre-drop being long and just dragged out, and especially these really stupid blind double spike clicks at like the 20-ish% mark just made it overall a very big nuisance playing from zero. And not to mention, the 60 to 70% ship is also just really annoying as well. And I don't know if this was just a skill issue when I used to still play on mouse, but I was originally supposed to do this for my 12 Demons of Christmas in 2024, and I dropped it, switched over to arrow keys, and then I eventually beat it in May of 2025. This level is just so boring, and it honestly is just very gross looking. It keeps this gross, dark, disgusting green color throughout the entire level, and I just don't think there's anything remarkable about Biohazard at all. It looks like shit, and it plays like shit. The only redeeming factor that kind of exists is the song, and I'm not talking about that god-awful cover that's in the game of Geometry Dash. I'm talking about the original Pokemon Uranium theme, which I think is really cool, and that's what I used to beat this level. But overall, man, there was just nothing remarkable about Biohazard, and I would strongly advise any sane person to avoid this level at all costs. Now, this is a level that I beat many years ago, but I also happened to re-beat it just earlier this week. And my god, is this level not good. You can tell this is a super old Mega Collab just on how poorly balanced it is, and on top of that, this level was hack verified too. Wow, who would have guessed that this level was hack verified when the clicks are just so bad? Especially that one blue orb in Zobros' part. It just doesn't make sense at all with this level, and Cyclic's part would always get me at the end. I don't like the speed changes that are just so sudden in this part. It just made the ending so nerve-wracking. Not to mention how janky the duels were, and it just felt like pure luck every time I would pass them. Like, I would find a decent click pattern for them, and I would have like roughly an 80% pass rate, but there was always that one attempt where some random bullshit would happen and I would die, and I don't know why I died. And it just made playing this level so frustrating. This is definitely an old, unbalanced Mega Collab that I would... Up next is Bausha Vortex, another level that I beat many years ago. So my skill set could have easily changed by today, but I'm going based off of my experience from back then. I just really did not like this level, because even today, I'm just not the biggest fan of super wave and ship carried levels, because I consider myself to be very ship and wave disabled, but even then with this level, it was just not a pleasant experience. There's a lot of really annoying gravity portal abuse, especially that one portal click at 34 was honestly just a very big choke point for me, and at the time, my mind could not comprehend how to deal with clicks like this, and it just made it overall a very frustrating experience. And me not being the best at wave honestly just made it very rough, and it's actually the reason why I currently do not plan on beating any other 9 Circles levels today as of yet. But who knows, maybe I'll go back and revisit my fears, and maybe I could prove myself wrong that I could still handle 9 Circles levels. But overall, I just thought it was kinda eh. Speaking of levels that I beat many years ago, up next is the Hell World. This is honestly arguably one of the most forgettable levels on this list. It's just your typical Stormfly Hell level with tight ship gameplay and difficult ball timings, and honestly, this level was arguably even more boring than Biohazard, but the reason why I have it a little bit more is because there's some parts that are somewhat okay, whereas Biohazard I thought was just more boring overall, but both of these levels are honestly really boring. But yeah, honestly just a really forgettable level, not much to say other than that, it's pretty poop, but yeah. Now this is another ranking that I know is going to piss a lot of people off, but this is going to be Electric Forest by Motheye. I really did not like this level for a lot of reasons, most notably being the fact that it is mostly flow gameplay, which is really just not enjoyable for me, on top of the fact that half of this level is just these random auto parts, and random parts where you just have to hold for like multiple seconds, and it made this level just so boring to play. On top of that, it uses a metalcore song, correct me if I'm wrong on that, and metalcore is really just not one of my favorite genres. Like, look, I love listening to music like brutal death metal, grindcore, traditional heavy metal, gore grind, or old school death metal. Like, that's sort of my thing. But metalcore just never hit for me, and I'm just not a big fan of this genre of music. Like, I'd rather listen to just other stuff, like Suffocation or Regurgitation, instead of metalcore bands like Icy Stars. But that's just me. Music taste is entirely subjective. Listen to whatever you want to. But enough yap about that. The level itself is just fine, really, objectively, but I just personally was not the biggest fan. The decoration is really nice, but I had to play it on low detail mode because I really do not own a NASA PC, unfortunately. So it overall just made playing this level kind of a snooze fest. What an absolutely disappointing level this was. When the creator of Cloud, Kype, told me that this was a fun and decent level, I was going into it hoping to have an awesome experience. What I was left with was just an absolute disaster of a level that is Fish Fish God Mode. There are a lot of things wrong with this level. First off, let's talk about the colors. This level is changing colors like every half of a second, and it genuinely feels like I'm going to have a seizure just from playing it. On top of that, the song is literally ear-piercing once you get past the drop. Let me show you an example of what the song sounds like when you actually pass the drop. Like, man, you cannot tell me that this song isn't just straight up noise pollution. And then on top of the level having very flashy, eye-blinding deco and a song that is just straight up noise pollution, there's this really stupid ball click at 44% that is just way harder than the rest of the clicks in this entire level. There's also a really other stupid blue orb at like the 70% ship when you transition from the ship into the cube portal, and both of these two choke points just made playing this level so annoying. The decoration sucks, the song is literal noise pollution, and the level just does not play well, and I really don't understand the glaze this level gets. I don't know why, you know, awesome people like Kype happen to enjoy not so awesome levels like this. But yeah, please, play a better beginner extreme. This level is the exact reason why I stay far away from Jonathan GD levels. Every time I play a Jonathan level, it's always a super long mess with just the absolute worst balancing possible. My main issue with this level is the fact that it's over 5 minutes long, and the difficulty of it literally is shaped like a bell curve. You start off very simple and easy with a pretty easy first 30%, and then out of nowhere in the middle of the level it takes a huge spike in difficulty with the first ship, the boss fight, and then you have just a small asymmetrical duel gimmick going on, followed by a swing copter, and then it finally calms down in difficulty. And I'm not a fan of levels like this because it ends up being so boring to play from zero, knowing that you're expecting to die to the middle of the level every single time. And I just never really enjoyed that about Jonathan GD's levels. So I've always just personally stayed away from stuff like this, and that's why I've never touched another Jonathan level since. Yet another level that I've beaten quite a while ago, and I honestly really didn't even mind it much, but there's just a few things about this level that genuinely pissed me off. It's the end asymmetrical duels and the first 20% just completely carried the difficulty of this whole level. Because I thought the song was really interesting. It's obviously not the greatest objectively, but it was unique. The level just itself has a cool vibe. But again, the duels just felt like they never got consistent, and it was like the ultimate phase, but just a little bit worse. The only reason why I have this level so much higher than the ultimate phase is I just personally think it's a lot cooler. But overall, it's another level that's just kind of and really could use an update to honestly make it better. This was my first extreme ever, and my god, this level has aged so poorly. When you take a look at this level, you think to yourself, wow, that is just ugly. Like, all the red just does not work together at all, and it honestly is just one of the grossest and ugliest levels out there. To be fair, it is really old, so I guess I'll cut it some slack, but overall it's just a super old and unbalanced level that's just super second half carried, especially the last ship. And also, fun fact, when I went to go rebeat this level last year, I fluked from 68 again. Which, if you don't know, the first time I fluked this level, I fluked it from 68, and when I went back and rebeat it, I fluked from 68 again. Not even dying to the last ship, which, mind you, is the hardest part of the level. I don't know how I got so lucky with such an atrocious level. When I think of boring levels, this is exactly the type of level that comes to mind. There is absolutely nothing remarkable about the Flawless other than that it is a super skill-based level with really stupid choke points. My biggest issue with this level, however, is the fact that the pre-drop is so boring to play. Not only is it stupidly easy, but there's two completely auto parts in it that just make playing it an absolute drag. And my god, I may have beaten this in like 2 hours, but it was still obnoxiously boring. Not to mention the choke points of the 56 and 76% ship. Those two also made playing this just really not fun. And honestly, the only type of people that I could even see playing this level are people that can beat it in like half an hour or less. It really is just not good. The only people that claim to like Cataclysm are people that are LARPing and have it as their first or second extreme demon. Any sane or realistic person knows that Cataclysm is not a good level for so many reasons. From stupid choke points to awful balancing to really dumb transitions, there is just so much bad about Cataclysm, and the only remarkable thing I can even somewhat say about it is that it's an okay level to go for if you want to improve your skill, because it does help you get better with the tight wave gaps like in the beginning. But my god, I just don't like levels with awful balancing like this. And I honestly don't really care either that this is a historic level. It's just objectively not good. And fun fact, this is also the only level that I've ever beaten using a mashup, so that's pretty funny. Now, when I think of levels that make me feel absolutely nothing, this is exactly the type of level that comes to mind. This is just a very generic and basic low level with another very generic and basic song, except this time, the pre-drop is somehow more interesting than the actual drop. It's honestly impressive that this creator even managed to pull off something like that, because how on God's green earth do you make the pre-drop of a level more interesting than the actual drop? This level is also very click sync based. It syncs well with the song, but it also has really stupid balancing. Like, for example, the ship and wave in the second half is definitely harder than most of the first half, so it's definitely a second half heavy level. And I'm also very salty towards this because I did die to the last click. But overall, this is such a nothing burger level, and I feel nothing from it. Like, literally nothing. Yet another disappointing level. I was going into this expecting to have a great time, especially because one of my close friends, M. Mitochondria, told me that this was going to be a great level. Little did I know that I was going to be met with an absolute cluttered mess of just horrible structuring that made playing this level just super frustrating. Especially the biggest issue I had was the fact that the pre-drop was just way more difficult than the rest of the level, at least for me. This level suffers from a similar thing that the Flawless does, except this time it's the exact opposite. Instead of the pre-drop being the easiest and most boring part of the level, the pre-drop in this level ended up being somehow really hard. And this level does a mechanic that a lot of other levels do, where during that one wave part in the pre-drop, they put the spikes on the sides of the slopes, which I just don't understand. It's like, why wouldn't you just make the gap tighter? Why do you have to add just this annoying type of gameplay? Not to mention that the wave in the middle, the spikes are structured really annoyingly, so you have a chance of passing the first one but dying to the one that comes after that. And this style of structuring just made this level so frustrating. The only redeeming factor of this level is that the song is an absolute banger. But the actual level itself is very generic, just a red level with really stupid and annoying gameplay, and I just personally didn't like it very much. Sorry, Mito, you have to give me a better level next time. We have yet another level that is just completely brought down by its pre-drop, which is such a shame too, because I really love the atmosphere and theme that this level executes. You start off above water, and then the next part is below water. You're swimming through seaweed and fishes, and then you get above water. There's a giant whale or fish thing in the back, and then you get to the beach part in the end, and I love this level's atmosphere. And the song is also really calm too. It just gives this nice aesthetic and vibe. If this ranking was solely based off of vibe, then this would probably rank number 1 because I love the atmosphere this level has. The main gameplay itself is super skill-based, and I ended up beating it in a day, so I don't really have much of a personal connection to it, but honestly, I really liked a lot of the gameplay, but it also has a lot of issues. Like, the fact that the pre-drop is so long and makes up a quarter of the level, it being so slow, just made it really, really boring having to play from zero, which I really did not enjoy. And even though I fluked the ending, the fact that the last 3 clicks are completely blind would honestly have made me furious if I ended up dying there. Now thankfully I did end up fluking this, so I didn't die to that, but I could easily see myself ranking this level way lower if I died there. But it gets the benefit of the doubt only because I fluked those last clicks. Up next is Envy. Now overall I thought this level was pretty fun when I first beat it, and it still kind of is, but there were and still are a lot of things about it that do genuinely piss me off. Like, I don't understand what it is with these types of levels just always abusing the move trigger. Like, every object just moves in as you're trying to pass it, and it just makes playing it just so annoying. It's like, what's with the moving object abuse in some of these levels? And there's also some really hard parts, like the dash orb at like 49%-ish, the UFO dash orb in the mirror section I thought was really difficult. And then also the overall wave gameplay seems to be much more difficult than the other stuff in this level, so it's definitely a very wave carried level. Which kind of annoyed me when I was playing it, because you know how I am about wave, but I still thought that it was somewhat decent, and the song was kind of a banger, so I would say this is one of Durami's better verifications. Yet another level that just kind of makes me feel nothing. All I can remember from Forbidden Isle is that really annoying 5-spike mini cube jump at the very beginning, as well as just being very wave carried and just overall kind of annoying. I don't really care for this level that much, and is honestly kind of the reason why I don't really want to play Azurite. It's kind of just a nothing burger, and I honestly don't really have much to say about it. Now we have reached the better of the 2 Red Worlds. Red World Rebirth is just Red World if it was simply better. And in my personal opinion, Red World does everything better that Red World wishes it could be. The decoration is improved, the balancing is improved, the overall style is improved, and I just think it's a way better level. And they even nerfed the last ship in this level, which I think just does such a saving grace for this level, honestly. It just overall is Red World if it was good, and there realistically is not much more to say than that. Next up is a very unknown Extreme Demon. This is a 1.6 GDPS level made by the list moderator for the all-rated Extreme Demon list server, Hazel. So shout out Hazel. But with that being said, this is a pretty fine level. I thought the gameplay for the most part was pretty good considering it was a 1.6 level. However, I will say a lot of the structuring this level did kind of piss me off a little bit, which is why it's on this part of the list. First off, the orb spam at the beginning, it's technically not super high CPS, but I just found this orb consistency part to be super annoying. On top of that, there's these other clicks scattered throughout the level where you have to click a blue orb and then jump through a spike gap, kind of like what Ren241 puts in his levels. And I also thought these clicks were very, very obnoxious, especially how the middle part of the level is a little more difficult than the rest. I just thought it was a little bit frustrating and annoying to play. But with that being said, if you exclude those things, this is honestly a really solid level, and honestly it looks really good considering that it was made using the 1.6 editor. So good job to Hazel and everyone else that participated in this mega collab, because it turned out pretty decent, so good job. Up next is yet another level that I bet none of you have heard about. This is Fish. A very small glow level that has some flow gameplay, which I know I've said earlier I'm not fond of, and even then it was kind of annoying. But this level is tolerable because I actually had a somewhat decent time with it. It was pretty fun, but the reason why it's also somewhat in the lower half of this video's list is because there's a few things that are really stupid. Like for example, the duel, I think it was like at 30%, just felt really RNG and it never really got fully consistent. Another thing that's also really stupid is, I'm actually going to insert a screenshot here, but there is a random extended fixed hitbox at like 90% into the level, and you have to get through this jump without dying to that extended hitbox on this spike. It's like, genuinely, what was the point of putting this here? It's like, you can't put this in your level and expect your level to be good. It was just really stupid, and thankfully I never actually died to the spike, but I know other people that have, and they said it's really stupid. So overall, just a very stupid level, but I personally found it really fun. Also, why are there Among Us characters on the end screen? Up next is arguably one of the most song-carried levels in this entire video, and that's just because Control Crowd by Waterflame is an absolute banger. Crowd Control is a pretty decent beginner extreme that can help you build up skill for harder levels, although it also suffers from having some pretty awkward balancing and a very stupid last chip that I somehow fluked from 79. But overall, I thought most of this level was good except for the last chip and then also the first wave, which is pretty obvious that people complain about being really hard. So the balancing is kind of but I feel like this will definitely prepare you for harder levels, so it's definitely a good level to do if you want to get better at the game. And I just thought it was good, but that's also mostly because the song is just such a banger. This is just one of my favorite Waterflame songs. Also, fun fact, this is the first and only level that I've ever beaten on stream. I honestly still do not understand why this is still rated as an extreme demon. Accu is one of those levels that I've always avoided for the longest time just simply because I didn't want to be labeled as an NPC. The reason why I call Accu an NPC level is because literally every person and their mother has this as their first extreme demon, and objectively it's for very good reason. It introduces you to new gimmicks, to learn gameplay, and it just really helps you become a better player. I've just always stayed away from it because there is just so many people that have beaten this. I mean, already on the all-rated extreme demon list, there's like over 6,500 records for this level. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good level, it was pretty fun, but is it really that good? Like, I don't know. That's why I've just always labeled it as an NPC level and avoided it, but I was pretty satisfied when I came around and finally beat it, but my opinion still holds that I firmly believe this is an insane demon. I've even had people accusing me of ego maxing because I think it's insane demon. Like, honestly, I'm not even that good at the game. My hardest isn't even in the top 300, so like, what are you talking about? But overall, I think it's a good level, just simply should not be an extreme demon, and I'm sorry if your feelings are hurt when I say that. We have officially reached the halfway point of this video, and what better way to kick things off than with literally the most famous level in the entire game. Bloodbath really is a spectacle in and of itself. It's a very popular level, and for good reason. It has a lot of history behind it, it has very skill-based gameplay, and it's honestly very accessible for most players, which would explain why it's one of the most popular extreme demons in the game. I personally, however, find it to be one of the most average levels ever. It's got okay gameplay, it's quite unbalanced, and it's pretty unremarkable in and of itself. To be fair though, I do give it the benefit of the doubt because it is quite an old level and it has its place in GD history for really stepping the limits of what Geometry Dash players can achieve. But overall, Michigan's part was really annoying, and I was really annoyed myself because I had a really stupid death in Havoc's part and died to 80, which kind of pissed me off, but thankfully I fluked it from there. And yeah, overall not really much to say other than that this level is way overrated and that you should just go play a better level. I honestly didn't really think that this level was even that bad. Quantum processing in and of itself is a very approachable and accessible level in my opinion, and I got so consistent with it too. I was always making it to the second half almost every attempt right before I beat it, and I just thought it was pretty decent overall. It's obviously far from the best level, but also far from the worst. Most notably, the reason why I say it's very second half heavy is because the 70 ship is a very big choke point. My nerves would always go haywire in this part, and even just the smallest mistake in your ship control and ship momentum will let you die here. And it's very easy to screw it up, especially because it's so far in the level, and you just get so nervous. And then of course, the elephant in the room that you all are probably waiting for is the 65 UFO. This part is really funny because every completion that I see of people beating this level, they all do the 65 UFO differently. My click pattern is different from everyone else's, and I just think it's so funny because nobody knows how to truly do this UFO part. We just kind of say fuck all and just click whatever and just find what works, which I think is really funny. But overall, Quantum was honestly a decent level. It's pretty painfully average, but, you know, it's really good considering that it's a super buffed version of a Rock Top level. We have yet another level that is just absolutely song carried because the song is an absolute banger. Plasma Pulse 3 is honestly one of the oldest levels in the game, and I've never really gone around to it until earlier this year. This was actually my first Extreme of 2026, and I thought overall it was pretty decent. It obviously does have its issues. You can definitely tell it suffers from early 2.0 syndrome, with moving object abuse, kind of rough transitions, and a really difficult UFO in the 60s, just like the level we talked about previously, quantum processing. But even with all these annoying things, I still really enjoyed the core gameplay of this level and just thought it was overall really fun. And the song being as awesome as it is just made playing this 10 times better. So overall, I would definitely say this is like a slightly above average level. Overall, pretty good. I I absolutely love the vibe that this level has going for it. The song is honestly very calm the entire way through, and I think it complements the decoration honestly perfectly. Purple is my personal favorite color, and even though it's very overused in a lot of Extreme Demons, I find that it works very nicely with this level. My main gripes with it though are the biggest choke points being at 33 and 67, and the pre-drop honestly being very slow, making actually trying to beat this level just a bit of a drag. But it's definitely a good medium tier Extreme Demon, so if you just want a simple mid tier to go for, this is honestly a pretty solid level to choose. Pretty good. Next up we have Decay, and in my personal opinion, this is one of the most unique beginner extremes that is ever made. It does not use spikes as obstacles in the gameplay, but rather just simply blocks. And I think Kiwi Penguin is just overall a very creative creator when it comes to doing stuff like this. The overall gameplay of this level is very solid. It stays slow speed throughout the entire thing, so it's honestly really creative with some of the gimmicks that are used in this level. It's very learny and gimmicky, but overall I think it's a very accessible level and is honestly a much better level to do as a first extreme than ACU. Just, you know, solely for the fact that it has way less victors. I don't even know if that's entirely true, but I would just prefer to do this as a first extreme instead of ACU if I were to go back in time and not do Red World. But overall, I think the level itself is very solid. It's got good deco. The only gripe that I have with this level is there are some parts that I think are just slightly annoying. Like the middle section can be a bit frustrating, and then also the last ship, like the very last gap, where you have to like go through those 2 blocks when you get into the Q portal is also really stupid, and it just kind of pissed me off about this level. But overall, it's pretty good, and I would definitely give it a shot if you want a nice, easier Extreme Demon to do. Up next, we have a perfect example of a good level that was completely ruined by an awful experience, and it's not even the level's fault either. So what happened with hopping over puddles? Well, ever since I got my Razer Huntsman V3 keyboard on the Christmas of 2024, I've been using it to play Geometry Dash for a good bit, but little did I know that using this absolute atrocious keyboard would be a huge mistake, because at the very last robot hold, my up arrow on the Razer Huntsman V3 would malfunction not once, but twice on the last robot hold, causing me to die. I would keep my finger held on the up arrow to beat it, and then in-game it would let go, causing me to die, and this happened twice. And ever since then, I've been switching to my other keys on my Razer Huntsman V3, and the same phenomenon of it just not registering my clicks kept happening. And it's really disappointing too, because I paid $200, actually no, I didn't pay for it. My girlfriend spent over $200 getting me this as a Christmas gift, and the fact that a $200 keyboard is malfunctioning like this not even a few months after using it is ridiculous. So you know what? Screw you, Razer, and shame on you for scamming customers with your piece of shit keyboards. Now anyway, enough of my rant about why Razer is a shit company and why they make shit keyboards. The actual level itself is really awesome. The deco is great. The vibe is very chill and calm, and it's a very short timing based level, so this is definitely a great level to play if you want to improve with your timings in Extreme Demons. Very timing centered, and it does help you get better at that sort of style of gameplay. Not to mention, I just want to say I really love the end screen with the windmill and the little house in the back. I just think it's a very cute, calm level, and very unique as well. J427 Blazer, or whatever his name is, or their name is, honestly really needs to make more levels, because hopping over puddles was just really good. Awesome level. I still can't believe that this, of all levels, holds the title for being my biggest fluke on any Extreme Demon ever. Paroxysm is a very choke point heavy level with a lot of easy gameplay, but also a lot of very difficult gameplay. The parts that were most difficult for me was the very first mini ship, the middle cube section, and then the very last 30%, because there is a near frame perfect robot timing at 78, followed by a very difficult ship section. And take a wild guess as to where I fluked this level from. I bet you wouldn't say 66, but yeah, I fluked this level of all levels from 66, and I still don't know how I did that, because this level is so second half heavy. But I just got so lucky with it, and overall I just had a really good experience, I guess. Very fast progress, and overall I'm just happy to have had this as a hardest for as long as it's been, until I eventually got my new hardest, which you will see way later in this video. In my personal opinion, Aftermath will always be the best level in the Apocalyptic trilogy. Even though it's very unoriginal and is basically just a remake of Cataclysm, I feel like this level does everything right. Yeah, it's not the most original, but in terms of gameplay, it's honestly really solid and honestly just quite a fun level to play, which I did not find very much with Cataclysm or Bloodbath. The only primary issues of this level is the 30% ship is very difficult, and also the section at like 65-ish, that little robot part with those timings is really stupid. But outside of that, I honestly think that this is just the best level in the trilogy overall, and its gameplay is honestly really solid. I can't really rank it much higher though because it's very unoriginal. It's literally just Cataclysm but with different gameplay, but overall in terms of gameplay and just experience, this is easily, my personal opinion, the best level in the trilogy, by far. Yeah, remember earlier when I said that I'm very ship and wave disabled? Well, this entire level is completely ship and wave carry. Now, in theory, you would expect me to absolutely hate this level and think it is garbage, it sucks, that the gameplay is so bad, because all the difficulty in this level is straight fly, ship gameplay, and also wave gameplay, with very difficult ones as well. But in my personal opinion, I don't know what it is, and I can't even explain it very well, but there is just something about this level that made me really enjoy it. I'll be honest, man, I'm still baffled by how much I thought this level was good. The boss fight is really funny, and I love how this level has its own story between Barbaros, and I believe you're playing as like a pirate named Johnny or something, or I forget what his name is, it's something like that. But the dialogue is just so funny, and you just come into the goofiest boss fight with just difficult ship and wave gameplay, and even though this level is objectively really bad, it will just always hold a soft spot in my heart because it is just fucking hilarious. Man, this level executes its theme so well. There really aren't many levels out there that are like Broken Signal. This level is themed around a glitchy computer that got hacked, and like you see all like the error signals present throughout the level, and I just think that this is so cool. Obviously this level does have its choke points. The last like 15% is very difficult, like the whole mirror section is very hard. And also, in general, the middle wave is also really difficult, so you do have that, but overall I thought the gameplay was very solid and it synced pretty well with the song. There's also this really creepy pair of eyes, which I'm currently showing on screen, that's like right before the mirror section, which I never even noticed that this was in the level. When I saw it for the first time, I like genuinely freaked out because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, was this an Easter egg or something? But like, no, it's just a very creepy pair of eyes that are watching you. So a nice little Easter egg that's present in the level, and overall I just think it's really good. It's just too bad that this level was made by a child prey. Up next we have Sunburn. This is just another level that in my opinion has very fun gameplay. There weren't even many that major choke points. I know a lot of people complained about the middle ship section with the orbs being really hard, but I was honestly fairly consistent with it, so I didn't really have much issues with this level at all. I also really love the decoration style. I think it's really unique, the song flows nicely, and I just think it's overall a great level. I also like the ending section where it has like that sort of like light effect as it goes through like with the darkness. I think that's really cool, and just overall in general I thought this was a really solid level. Honestly, I'm trying to think of any negatives that I have with Sunburn, and I just really don't have anything negative. I just think it's overall a good level. Speaking of levels with really cool themes, up next is Very Rusty Pipeline. This is a really cool level that has awesome decoration and a really unique theme as well. I thought the gameplay was pretty solid. It's very skill-based, but honestly really difficult. A lot of people say that this level was very first half heavy, but I personally struggled a lot more with the second half. The wave at 50% was especially difficult because you have to pass all these super tight wave gaps and you just have to be really, really skilled, even with slow wave gameplay. The last ship is also really nerve-wracking because it really tests your ability to do ship control well, and because it's like the last part in the level, your nerves are going to be through the roof, and it is very easy to mess up a ship part, especially when your nerves are going so crazy. But overall, even with the second half being hard, I just still had a great time with it. Everybody especially complained about the first robot being difficult, but I honestly never had any issues with it. Maybe I could go for Shardscapes if I never struggled with that robot. Who knows? But overall, just an awesome level, and I would definitely recommend it if you want a somewhat hard but very skill-based level. Really cool. Remember how earlier I was hating on Super Mayo Hate Club and how I thought it was one of the worst levels ever made? Well, get this. This same 1.9 GDPS level was made by the exact same creator that made Super Mayo Hate Club. I really don't understand why I thought Microsoft Drive-Thru was just so much better than Super Mayo Hate Club. But honestly, I really do not have much complaints for this level outside of Stellar's part, which is the cube from around 46 to 54. This was the only part of the level that I kind of didn't like because The cube timings here were just a little awkward, and the fact that the decoration is very flashy just made it really annoying trying to get through it. But honestly, everything outside of this part was just pure perfection. I had no issues. I thought the pre-drop was good, and then after this part was fine. Like 56 to 100 was great, and outside of this singular part, I really don't have any complaints with it. I just thought it was a really fun level, and it was so consistent too. Like I was always getting to the second half. Just a really fun, good level, and it's also another very skill-based level. So if you just want a free skill-based 1.9 GDPS level, definitely give Microsoft Drive-Thru a chance, because I thought this level was really good. To this day, I still just do not understand why people hate on Infernal Abyss. I had an absolute blast playing this level, and I just thought the gameplay was super fun the whole way through. It felt very consistent, very easy to learn, very fair gameplay, and honestly, just a really cool level. It's orange, it has a really cool theme, it has a cool song, and the gameplay is just good. It's obviously not the most unique or original level ever, but it certainly is a really good one. The only kind of sketchy thing in this level is the UFO clicks around 68%. This is because these clicks kind of rely on your UFO alignment from each previous click, which means these gaps are definitely really difficult to get through if you align yourself incorrectly, which does kind of suck. But outside of these 3 UFO clicks, the whole level is just awesome. It just flows so nicely, and I just had a great experience playing it, which is why when I went into it expecting to have a bad time, I came out the other end having just a really great experience. And this level was so good that I even ended up getting the last coin, or the only coin in this level. So yeah, I really don't understand why this level gets as much hate as it does, and it's just proof that you shouldn't always listen to other people's opinions when you want to check out levels. Man, all these high-ranking levels on this list just seem to have awesome themes. Myocardia is a very unique spectacle in and of itself, with the fact that there is just so much going on with this level. You have a literal heart in like the second half, you have just like DNA decoration going on, and even though this showcase here, or my completion of it, is in low detail mode, you should definitely go check out the full detail mode because it's awesome. This level has a really unique theme, has a pretty cool song. It's also the same song that's used in another level called Cerebral Torment, which I have not beaten yet. But overall, this is just a fantastic level, and I just love it. The gameplay is also pretty fun. I do especially love the second half of this level. I just think it's really fun to play through. The only thing that kind of drags it down is the first cube is a little bit boring with all the dash orbs, but once you can just get past that, it's honestly really not that bad. And overall, I just think this is an awesome level, and I really did not have that many complaints about it. I just thought it was really good. And now we have officially reached my personal top 10 most enjoyed Extreme Demons in Geometry Dash. Before we continue, I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone that is currently listed on the screen. These are people that have made just the overall Geometry Dash experience so much better. People that have just entertained me, just kept me going, just motivated me. And I just want to say that if you are on here, this video is dedicated to you, and I want to thank you for everything that you have done to help me advance in my journey within this game. Now, with that being said, let's get into ranking my personal top 10. Kicking off the top 10, we have Delta Interface. This is the level that actually held the title as being my hardest Extreme Demon for many years, especially ever since I stopped playing for a while back in 2022. This was the last truly genuinely hard level, and I actually did beat it when it was list worthy. But again, this was in an era of Geometry Dash when I did not record my completions, so unfortunately I still to this day do not have a single pointer crate record because of how hard the list is. But going back to the actual level itself, I really love Delta Interface, and I was so glad that I did this as a new hardest. The level's gameplay is overall really fun, and I didn't really find there to be that many like true genuine choke points. It was mostly just a matter of just don't fuck up as you go through it, and the whole level just felt really smooth. Of course, there's a few small nitpicks that I have with it, like with almost every level in existence. Like for example, in the pre-drop, there's like these blue spikes that blend in really well with the background, so it's kind of hard to see them. And it eventually becomes not a big deal, but it was just kind of annoying when I was initially learning the level. And then also the pre-drop is very slow and pretty much makes up the entire first half of the level, so it can get very boring and become a huge drag trying to play from zero. But depending on the type of player that you are, it honestly eventually doesn't even become that big of a deal, because the rest of this level, and even the pre-drop sometimes, is just so fun. I just had an absolute blast doing this as a new hardest, and I think it's really good to just get better with like longer levels because it's like XL length. And I just thought this was one of the coolest levels at the time. So definitely a huge recommended. I would for sure check out Delta Interface if it piques your interest. Up next, we have Load Into Fishwasher. This is another level that I just think has a really awesome atmosphere. The song is calm the entire way through, and this level has a really unique style of decoration, just like with other Coco 43 levels. I also really like how simple and decent the gameplay is. You start off with just a whole bunch of cube timings with block gaps, which I think is really nice. And you also have this really cool looking robot section. Now unfortunately, I don't have a NASA PC, and when I was originally playing the full detail version, it started lagging me, so I did have to beat it on a low detail mode copy. But I just had a great time overall with this level. The only parts that I thought were a little bit annoying is this one jump at I think around 48-ish%, where like you have to jump your cube on like a block and then you have to go in between this gap, which I thought was really obnoxious. And then also the robot gap at around like 66-ish% was pretty hard. But even so, I thought this level was just overall really fun and is actually one of the most accessible levels, especially on mobile. I still think it's way too high on the all-rated Extreme Demon list. This should honestly be below like Super Mayo Hate Club in my personal opinion. But overall, a fantastic level, and definitely go check it out if you want a more calm and vibey Extreme Demon. Up next, we have arguably one of the more controversial levels in this entire ranking, and that is going to be Misfire. Yes, let's just address the elephant in the room. Yes, this is a furry goon bait level, but it doesn't change how awesome learning and playing it is. I had a great time, honestly, with all the gameplay, and honestly, not even that many issues even happened while I was playing it. It just feels really consistent, it flows well, it syncs great to the song, which I find a lot of Extreme Demons just tend to not do well. Like when I'm playing most click sync levels, they usually don't even sync that well with the music, and it honestly just makes it artificially more hard. But this level does a really good job at it. Yes, the song is very questionable, and it makes me feel like a gooner just playing this level, but realistically, I just had an awesome time playing it, and it's definitely a well-known Extreme Demon, and is really good to actually do as a hardest, because it really tests your skill set with unique gameplay. Overall, a fantastic level, and don't let its reputation ruin your chances of going for it, because it is awesome. Up next, we have my current hardest demon that I recently beat a few days ago, which is Yatagarasu. I'm gonna be honest, man, I hear a lot of people saying that they don't like this level, but when I started approaching it and doing it as a new hardest, I found myself getting so consistent with it. I had an absolute blast playing it. Everybody complained about the pre-drop being super difficult, but I honestly didn't even find the pre-drop to be that hard. And the fact that I did this level in only 5,786 attempts as a new hardest is honestly mind-boggling. I still don't get how people find this harder than Sonic Wave. Maybe I'd have to play Sonic Wave myself to see what everyone's talking about. But when I even heard other people like Dester in the all-rated Extreme Demon List server saying that this level sucked, I just don't get it. The whole level feels very fair, and all the deaths personally feel like it's your fault and not the levels. And I just think it is really good at challenging you to go for longer Extreme Demons. Just a fun, well-rounded level, and it is just historic for a good reason. Like, this is the level that deserves to be the most popular Extreme Demon, not Bloodbath. Absolutely fantastic level, and it's really good to do as a new hardest. So please, go give Yatagarasu a chance. It is an awesome level. This is honestly one of Zeronium's best verifications. There's honestly very few things that I really dislike about Falcon 16, and I just think it's an awesome level overall. The gameplay is super fun, the song is great, and the deco is really cool, especially considering that this is a mega collab. There is just so much going on with this level, and I am all for it. The gameplay is really good too, and I found it to be very consistent and just super fun to learn. Everybody complains about the 33% wave and the 40% robot being the hardest part, but I would always breeze through this part. Yeah, there's a blind click in the second half of the level, but I honestly didn't really even die here, like, at all. I don't even think, come to think of it, that I've even had any deaths here from zero, because it's just really easy to know how to time it. And overall, just a super fun level, and is definitely really good if you want to get better with fast gameplay, and this level has helped tremendously build my skill set. Fantastic level, and congratulations to Zeronium for verifying such an awesome level. Speaking of awesome levels, up next is Shape of the Sun. I love absolutely everything about this level. The deco is so simple yet so good, and honestly it provides one of the best atmospheres in the level, especially at the drop, man. I love this sea background with the sun setting. It looks beautiful despite how simple it is, and the gameplay is so fun too. It basically just is an easier version of Black Blizzard, honestly, and I never had any issues with it. The only part that I found kind of difficult was the green orb at 27%, because it relies on your initial jump going into it, in order to pass through the 2-spike gap, which honestly made it really difficult. But overall, I thought this level was great, and in my personal opinion, this level uses the best Creo song. When you get to the drop, and you're met with that beautiful background and just the amazing song by Creo, it is so good. It just pierces your ears in the best way possible. I honestly feel like I'm that one gif of SpongeBob levitating with his earbuds in. That is me when I get to the drop in this level. Everything about it is just awesome, and I really do not understand why people hate this level as much as they do. I just don't get it. Everybody complains about the pre-drop being super hard, but I never had any issues with it outside of the 27% green orb. Fantastic level overall, and honestly, more people should show this level some love, because I don't get why it gets so much hate. Up next is my only 2-player level ever, and honestly the most experienced carried level on this list. This is because I beat it with a real life friend that I personally know. You may know Mitochondria from various sources, but he is just an awesome person, and the fact that I was able to beat this level because he reached out to me was just so satisfying. Going over to his house and playing it was just honestly a blast, and is honestly the only extreme demon I've actually beaten using a spacebar, because I used to be a mouse player. I used the spacebar on the Razor Huntsman V3 to beat this, and I did the top and he did the bottom, and I personally found the gameplay to be really good. We practiced separately and we beat it in 2 sessions together, which I thought was awesome. Also, fun fact, on our completion attempt, we actually were talking about ordering pizza through the first 40%, and then right after we beat it, we ended up getting some Jet's pizza, me getting pepperoni, of course. But this was just a fantastic experience, and I think it's solely carried by the fact that I did it with a real-life friend, which is just 10 times better than using Globed. I get that not everybody has a real-life friend that is as good at Geometry Dash as they are, so they have to use Globed, but man, I'm telling you, if you know a good player in real life, please do a 2-player level with them. It makes the experience so much better, and I just had a blast playing this level. So shout out to Mitochondria, you're an absolute fucking goat. Now I can guarantee you that you were not expecting to see this of all levels be so high on my list. And also, this is the old version of the level, so not the current rebalanced version, I'm talking about the version of the level that came when it completely dropped. I absolutely loved mid-map rubies, and yeah, objectively speaking, the old version was objectively bad because it did not have the best balancing and it got insanely more difficult as the level progressed. But for some reason, somehow, some way, this just was not an issue to me, and I did not find this level to be that bad, even in its unnerfed state. And yes, I am calling it unnerfed because technically the rebalanced version is easier, so I'm just going to say that I beat the unnerfed version of mid-map rubies. I found this level to be so much fun. First off, it uses a Boom Kitty song, and Boom Kitty, in my personal opinion, is just one of the best Geometry Dash song artists. I think their music is just fantastic, and it just made playing this level so much better, and the gameplay was really fun too. You know, you would think that for a 3-minute long memory level that it would take super long to learn. And honestly, it didn't even take that long. It only took me like 2 days. The only difficult part to learn was 70 to 80, and even though this is considered to be objectively the hardest part of the level, I was honestly breezing through it, and I was just having so much fun with this level. There honestly wasn't even a single moment that I would even say I did not enjoy this level, which is why I gave it pretty much a 10 out of 10 for enjoyment. I just thought it was super good, super awesome, and the fact that I did this as my first memory extreme just made it that much better. Fantastic level, and I will just overall say that this is just one of my favorite levels ever, even in the unnerfed state. Speaking of levels with Boom Kitty songs, my second most enjoyed level in the entire game is Belloc. I really don't understand why this level isn't more popular. I found the whole thing to just be so consistent, it flows so well, and it was just overall a fantastic level. I also love the theme that it goes for. It executes the Egyptian theme just so well overall, and playing it was an absolute blast. This level will always hold a soft spot in my heart because it fascinated me the moment that it dropped, and I really wish more people would go check it out. The only downside of this not being like an infinity out of 10 level is Penato's part, which I found just a little bit annoying, but the fact that the rest of the level is just that good thematically and gameplay wise, it just makes it this high on my list. Everybody complains about the 40% duel being really difficult, even though this level is super duel heavy. I find that once you get the asymmetrical duels down, they're honestly not even that bad. And it just made playing the level so fun, and I just feel like such a good player doing these difficult asymmetrical duels. It was a fantastic experience, and fun fact, this is actually the only level I've ever been in front of someone watching me in real life. This actually happened when one of my close real-life friends was at a sleepover with me. We woke up the next day, we were playing some Geometry Dash, and I actually happened to beat it right in front of him. My reaction was definitely a little bit questionable, though.
Nice.
Free R. Kelly, free P. Diddy, free Young Thug. And finally, the ranking you have all been waiting for. My personal most enjoyed and favorite Extreme Demon in Geometry Dash is Cooley Mazy Paloozy by Akuna-kun. Oh my god, this is one of the best levels in the game, and I swear I am not glazing this because it's memory. In fact, actually, I would say that the most intimidating part about this level is just simply learning it. This level took me over 5 days to actually learn and practice each part, which seems very mentally draining if you're not good with memory, but I'm telling you, once you get past the stage of learning and figuring out this level, you will literally be so consistent with it. It'll be an absolute breeze. The level becomes just so easy for you once you actually learn it. Of course, this level is very second half heavy, and I actually had almost 30 deaths past 80%, and like 10, I think, past 90%, which is a lot, and my luck was absolutely horrible. But I think it should really say something that I got so unlucky with this level and I still enjoyed it as much as I did. It is so consistent. The gameplay flows super well. It honestly never feels like any of the deaths in here are my fault. It just is so smooth. It's fun to play, and I just don't really have any issues. And then also the song is an absolute banger too. I love the vibe that this level gives off, and I also beat it during one of the best times of my life as well, so that honestly just made it that much better. This has just been my absolute favorite level I've ever done, and no level has even come close to it. Even though I love Belloc as much as I do, so far there is not a level I've experienced yet that comes even close to the amount of enjoyment I had with Cooley Mazy Paloozy. Fantastic level, and please consider doing it if you want a nice, fun memory level. It is fantastic. And that concludes today's video of all my Extreme Demon rankings. Thank you to absolutely everyone that I mentioned already for just being here, supporting me, and allowing me to just progress and become a better player. And once again, huge thank you to Magmeta for allowing me to use their footage for the extremes that I unfortunately do not have recorded completions of. I know as of currently, Magmeta has not beaten Envy, so I personally botted that level just to have background footage for it, and I didn't want to use someone else's showcase without their permission. But it saved me so much time not having to bot the other levels, so again, thank you so much Magmeta for your help, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching and sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I had making it, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Thank you so much.